It's now my pleasure to introduce our commencement speaker this evening. We're honored to have Dr. JoAnne Owens-Nauslar of Lincoln here today. She has spent 37 years promoting the benefits of healthy, active living and is considered one of the nation's most vocal personalities about issues of physical activity. Dr. Jo, as she's affectionately become known, is a native of Newcastle, Wyoming. She received a Bachelor of Science degree from Chadron State College in 1970 and later earned a Master of Physical Education and a Doctor of Education degrees from the University of Nebraska in Lincoln. Upon entering the profession of health and physical education in 1970, she began writing and teaching about healthy, active living. Articles in refereed journals, health and physical education, curriculum, guides, self-help books, and more than 2,000 speeches and presentations are among her contributions to the profession. She also has co-authored 2 books. Dr. Jo keeps busy as an active volunteer for many organizations and causes and has served in leadership positions for at least a dozen associations and groups. Dr. Jo's long list of awards and recognitions include the Distinguished Service Award from Chadron State College in 1986. As you can tell by reading her biography in today's commencement program, her trophy case is filled with a remarkable inventory of other awards. Dr. Jo serves as Director of Corporate and Community Development for GeoFitness Incorporated of Orlando, Florida. For all of her accolades, though, she still refers to herself as a cowgirl, and with her husband, Red Nauslar, raises Texas Longhorn cattle, quarter and paint horses, llamas, and goats at their ranch west of Lincoln. Now please help me welcome someone who we at Chadron State College are most proud to call one of our alums, Dr. JoAnne Owens-Nauslar.
Thank you. With that kind of an introduction, how many of you know who I am and are willing to admit it? Please raise your hand. Thanks, Mom. How many of you do not care who I am, but this better be good? Please raise your hand. It's okay to participate here. Thanks, Dr. Park, for those kind words and a wonderful introduction. You read them just like my mother wrote it with my husband's input. So, Dr. Park, Dr. Veith, Mr. Tian, board members, family, faculty, friends, and graduates. It's an honor to return to my alma mater. Thank you for the opportunity to show my Eagle pride while taking a few minutes of your time to put forth some lessons that I've learned since my days at Chadron State. The students at Roper Elementary School in Lincoln, Nebraska, where I often volunteer when I'm at home, call it fossil wisdom. I've added another set of initials behind my name, but when you do academic things like this, they won't print them, but I do. Those initials are LBWA, and they stand for Learning by Wandering Around. So to this list group right here in the middle, if you're just short of a few initials, you're pretty sure you're onto something, and people would listen to you more if you had a few initials. You take those initials, I'm giving you a full license to use them tonight. So in addition to the credentials you've earned here tonight, when you make up those business cards, you might want to just put LBWA, all right? When you get hair this color and have learned some lessons by wandering around, it's storytelling time. That becomes natural, so let's proceed. I want to share with you one thing. In Lincoln, you might have known that we just got our colon in a wad about football season this last year. And I wore my Chadron Eagle stuff proud and reminded them there is great football happening in Nebraska. Look west. After the commencement speaker speaker invitation call came from Dr. Park, I immediately started to explore options about what do you say on this meaningful night? What would be fun, thought-provoking, a few words of wisdom? So I sought out to do my research. I found 30 people, and I said to them, number one, do you remember the name of your commencement speaker? And or number two, do you remember the message? I got things like, I think it was a senator dude. Somebody who gave the school money. A retiring faculty, I don't remember. So I found that no one could remember the name, so I quickly went to the second point, which more importantly is, what was the content of the message? Again, I received blank looks and shrugged shoulders. One graduate responded, commencement speaker, oh yeah, that was the dude that tried to give us lessons in life by recalling the names of country western tunes. And he said, when he did that, Follow Your Dream and the Neon Rainbows by Alan Jackson, he said, that song just started running through my head. He said, I never remembered another word that he said. But he said, I just hummed along with the song all the time, and the evening was pretty short. While my unscientific polling may not have netted many results, each of those individuals have made phenomenal contributions. They've made their families proud, they've gone on to do wonderful things in their profession, and for sure, their alma mater is proud. All that information led me to think of about four things. Let's do something fun factor. Gotta be fun with information. I'm going to give you some fossil wisdom. You can tell by this hair color that I'm older than dirt. Maybe a one-line or two and a reminder about your eagle pride. So let's start by thinking about what's tonight all about. It's kind of like my magic coloring book, all right? Your pages might be pretty blank. It's like how long is she gonna talk and what she's gonna say. But the time you've spent here, it's really black and white as to what you need to do and where we go from here. And the lessons you've learned along with your faith, your family, the foundation you've gotten here at Chadron State, I guarantee you your life will be absolutely living color. Turn to your neighbor and say, how'd she do that? I did receive suggestions about tonight's message from three important people in my life: my husband, Big Red, my good friend and CSC alumni and former faculty, Ann Smith, and of course, my mom, Mildred Owens. Big Red's advice was to divide the number in the graduating class by 10. He said, that'll be the number of minutes you get for speaking. With 148, you better be out of there in less than 15 minutes, he said. Dr. Park advised me I had up to 30 minutes. Please put your hands together and clap if you like Red's numerical. CSC alum and longtime friend, retired faculty member Ann Smith advised me to do a B speech. She said, be funny, be articulate, be brief, and be seated. If you agree with Ann Smith's advice, put your hands together and let me know. My mom's advice was also practical. She said, sis, you stand between these people and the 3 R's. The recognition that's deserved of these people here in the middle, the receptions that will follow, but most importantly, the restroom. So carry on. I have my, all right. Turn to your neighbor and say, we hope she's doing this. Thank you. My message tonight is this. I'd like you to think about securing your own mask first. Please turn to your neighbor and say, I hope she didn't steal that. My wish for you tonight is that every day you do just like the flight attendant says every time we get on an airplane. I'm almost a 2 million mile flyer. Yesterday I flew in from Las Vegas, got into Lincoln at 3:30, got my husband delivered to the house, repacked the underwear, and got back on the same flight crew that had brought me in from Las Vegas through Denver was taking me back to Rapid City. And I was reading the Omaha World Herald. And even though the flight attendant recognized me, she came over She pushed down the paper and she said, remember, in case of emergency, secure your own mask before you try to help others. So I'm going to give you about 7 pieces of fossil wisdom. If you can't say it in 7, we probably ought to be here. So I'm going to give you 7 pieces of fossil wisdom that'll help you secure your own mask first. This is kind of going to be a participatory kind of thing. Look at your neighbor and say, I bet I have to smile at you here pretty soon. Just say that. All right, my first piece of fossil wisdom: strive daily to live in a peak performance body. Now people go, what is a peak performance body? Well, some people get up and say, good morning, Lord. Others get up and say, good Lord, it's morning. For me, a peak performance body is one that jumps up every morning, runs to the morning mirror and hollers, you sexy thing, don't you ever die. Work of 37 years lets me know we know more about getting well, staying well, and being well than we've ever known in the history of this country. Yet I almost get a pain in my stomach when I open up the Centers for Disease Control maps about our health status. Our obesity trends and our diabetes trends continue to get worse. At a recent National Health Promotion Conference, I was reminded by a speaker that a child born in 2006 stands a 1 in 3 chance of being a diabetic in their lifetime. My fossil wisdom: eat smart, move more. Turn to your neighbor and repeat those words. Eat smart, move more. My second piece of fossil wisdoms: set goals and fill in the blanks. Each of you will make a mark as you strive to compete in a global economy. You're more likely to reach your goals if you write them down and have someone witness them. I know that to be true. My major advisor on my master's program, I just want it out of there just like you do. And he said, nope, you're going to share with me your 5-year, your 10-year, and your 20-year goals. You're going to write it down. I'd already defended my thesis, signed off on that stuff, and so it's like, all right. And he said, take some time. He signed it, laminated it for me, gave it to me. I had no clue where that piece of paper was. 20 years later, from the day that I received my master's degree, I had water in the basement. I'm sitting on the 3rd stair up, I'm watching stuff float by. And comes that clipboard with that laminated sheet of paper on it. I harvested it out of there. I looked at that. I go running upstairs. I said, Red, look at this. I did it. And I had achieved every one of those goals on that list. Dr. Landmeer made me write personal goals, professional goals, and what was I going to do to make the country a better place. I had one little snafu. I said, I'm going to have a ranch in Wyoming and I'm going to be raising Texas Longhorn cattle. I called him up and I said, Nebraska, Wyoming, we're on the border. Is that close enough for government work, you know? If you will write it down and have someone witness it, you are more likely to achieve your goals. Remember the words of the late and great Don Clifton that founded Selection Research Institute. You now know it as the Gallup organization. He wrote a book and it's called Soar with Your Strengths. As an eagle, you ought to do that every day. Manage your weaknesses and soar with your strengths. Turn to your neighbor and repeat that. Manage your weaknesses, soar with your strengths. Number 3, measure your success not by money, materialism, celebrity status, and titles, but more importantly, by your manners, your value, your character, and your contributions. Now, I understand money isn't everything, but it ranks right up there with oxygen. I understand that. Success is as much about what we do as who we are. My fossil wisdom: strive to be a giver, and the rewards will come back many times. Turn to your neighbor and remind them, always help others. P.S. Don't forget to get back to Chadron State. Number 4, strive to be a great communicator. In some ways, automation and technology has allowed us to always stay in touch, but in some ways it's allowed us to be a lot more impersonal and distant. My fossil wisdom: listen more than you talk. Always check your written word. The greatest piece of written information that clearly states what you ought to take away from that, I found a billboard outside Waverly, Iowa. This was the message. Dr. Jerry Thomas, veterinarian and taxidermist. Either way, you get your dog back. Look at your neighbor. Remind them to always put on their listening ears and check your written word. Remind your neighbor of that. Point number 5. Manage your stress. Stress is a part of everyday life, and your health depends on how you react to stress. Heed the wisdom of the Serenity Prayer. Number 1, take charge of the things that you can take charge of. Number 2, let go of the things over which you have no control. And point number 3, have the wisdom to know the difference. My fossil wisdom: if your horse is dead, dismount. Remind your neighbor, if your horse is dead. Point number 6, laugh lots. Humor and laughing are good for your health. Use life's happenings to get humor. Try not to tell jokes. You stand a risk always of offending someone. But you will have stuff that goes on in your life. At the time, it may be a bit crisis, but if you can relax and have a giggle fest later, you'll be better. I'm going to share with you something that happened to me that was pretty stressful. Remember about 2 years ago, that dude tried to fly on an airplane with some kind of a gel bomb in his shoe. I was flying out of Rapid City, South Dakota, 2 days after that. Here's what I had done. This is a real long story. I'm going to make it short. I was in a biker bar in Sturgis. You don't want to know the rest of that story. Didn't do anything to not make you proud, but I bought a gator from a biker who'd won it in a raffle, and he couldn't figure out how he was going to get it home. And I said, if I got a deal for you, I just wrote him a check. And so a person was going to figure out how to get the little farm gator to me, but they gave me the wrench, the screwdriver, and the hammer. So I'm flying back to Lincoln. I go to the Rapid City Airport. I have almost nothing except for some new cosmetics from my niece. Here's what I was about to do. I'm going through the TSA security. I said, I have a wrench, a hammer, and a screwdriver. He said, that's okay, but let's look in your cosmetic bag. This is a true statement. I boarded an airplane with a wrench, a hammer, and a screwdriver. They took away my lipstick and my mascara. Now, I've kind of got my colon in a wad. I wanted that stuff, kind of thing. I get all through, and I looked at the guy. I said, I understand that you have to do what you have to do, but you do have a little tunnel vision here. I am a Wyoming woman. These 3 things here are weapons or tools. These 2 things over here are beauty products. Look at this face. I need these things. He said, you're not getting them, so my fossil wisdom: laugh early and often, and do not get your cranky pants and or angry eyebrows on when you're close to a person of authority. You will not get where you're going. Turn to your neighbor and say, laugh early and often. And my 7th piece of wisdom has to do with what we're celebrating here tonight and what you've experienced over your time here. It's what I call Eagle Pride leadership. In just a minute, I'll be finished, and you'll become the most recent graduates and alumni of Chadron State College. Wherever you travel in the world, I guarantee you will find Chadron State Eagles. From Lincoln to London and Gothenburg to Germany, Chadron State alum make their mark on the world. My fossil wisdom, the age-old quote: leaders are like eagles. They do not flock. You find them one at a time. Turn to your neighbor and tell them, well done. It's time for me to be seated. I wanted to be clear about tonight's message and my fossil wisdom. Number 1, eat smart, move more. We're a nation at risk. We're depending on you to get us healthier. Number 2, we must move to improve. You've got to set goals and remember to fill in the blanks. Say it, see it, do it, sign it, and get on with it. Number 3, character counts. Don't ever embarrass your mama and daddy. Always make them proud. And keep in mind, if you have ever done anything while Con Marshall is alive, he will remember it and know where the article is. He was sharing with your colleague, oh, I have that article from when she won a Brahma bull riding championship in 1962. Now, you may think that was bull shipping, but it was bull riding, all right? So, point number 4, be great communicators. Talk less and listen more. Fossil wisdom number 5, stress less. Slow down so that you can speed up. Enjoy tonight and then get on with getting on. Number 6, laughed often. And number 7, be proud of your accomplishments as a SHAD grad. You are an amazing group of talented individuals embarking on the next steps in life. You represent yourself, your family, your beliefs, and this amazing institution, Chadron State College. I'm going to leave you with a poem by Edgar Guest. I learned some of my greatest lessons from the kids I often get to present to. Kid in Minot, North Dakota. I was there on February 4th. You gotta love what you do if you'll go to Minot in February. And I got all done, and he came out with the obligatory sweatshirt, and he said, Dr. Joe, every time you get a chance to speak to adults, he said, you tell them this poem. Because he said the rest of us are watching and listening, and we need them as examples. And it's called I'd Rather See a Sermon by Edgar Guest. I'd rather see a sermon than hear one any day. I'd rather one should walk with me than merely show the way. The eye is a better pupil and more willing than the ear. Fine counsel is confusing, but example's always clear. I soon can learn to do it if you'll let me see it done. I can see your hands in action, but your tongue too fast may run. And the lectures you deliver may be very fine and true, but I'd rather get a lesson by observing what you do. For I may misunderstand you and the high advice you give, but there's no misunderstanding how you act and how you live. Honored graduates, platform guests, thank you for your time. Remember to always secure your own mask first. Make sure that every day is an absolutely living color day. And if my grandfather were still alive, I'm sure he would say this: people who want milk should not seat themselves on a stool in the middle of the pasture and hope that the cow backs up to them. Your Chadron graduates, go get her done. Go Eagles. Thank you so much.